संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So in the last class we were studying the 8th and the 9th verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So where we found that the ideal of yoga is to be equipoised in all circumstances in our life. And that is the highest achievement in yoga that has been spoken of. Not only when I am meditating, I run away from the world to enjoy the equipoise of meditation. That's not the goal. It's not escapism. Actually, here the meditation is meant to develop a equipoise, a calmness that never gets disturbed, and even when I am dealing with the world. They say that the real meditation is not when you are sitting on the cushion of the asana. That it should continue even when you have left your asana. The contemplation should continue in the world of action. It should be something, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, like your toothache. That when you have toothache, you never forget. Whatever you may be doing, a part of your mind is always remembering the toothache, is always aware of the toothache. It can never forget it. So Sri Ramakrishna is indicating the same thing, that yoga indicates that equipoise, that nothing in the life can disturb me. So it is just not speaking of mental calmness. You can attain mental calmness when you have detached yourself from the world. But unless you have a proper orientation, if you have a proper spiritual orientation, it is impossible to maintain that calm when you are out of your meditation. What's that orientation? That orientation is the awareness of the spiritual dimension of our existence. That only can help me to maintain that calmness. Not only help, it can become something habitual when I'm always aware of the spiritual dimension of my existence. As in the last class we were indicating, that if you're always aware of the fact that the real me is untouched, nothing in time, space, causation can touch the real me. It was, it is, it will be. It is as if in the eternal present. What we mean by eternal present? The question of time comes when there is transformation. If there is no transformation, the question of time falls off. So, our eternal existence has no transformation, neither in physically nor mentally. In mentally, sometimes we are elated, sometimes we are depressed. So that speaks of transformation. Physically, of course, we go through the 6 changes which has been spoken of in our scripture as Shada Vikara. Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, nasti. We are born, we grow, and then in the middle age, the transformation starts, the body starts getting transformed, and then the old age comes, the decay process starts, no one can stop it. And then at last, nasti, that the annihilation of the physical body is there. So that speaks of constant transformation. So here in the scriptures say the ultimate reality is ever aging, never old. It is in the eternal present. We always hear the word Purana Purusha. Purana. In Sanskrit, the word Purana is very interesting word. What it means? Pura api navaiva. It never gets old. Pura api navaiva. Pura means old, nava means new. Though it is old, but it is ever new. There is no transformation. So when you are aware of that, then nothing can in any way affect you. As in the last class we were indicating, that if we try to find all the answers to the questions of life in the physical dimension of our reality, we can never find. That example which we give again and again. If you try to draw exactly 4 triangles by joining 4 points, there are innumerable examples. This one example which we give, with which I have an idea. Suppose you are asked to draw exactly 4 triangles by joining 4 points. You can try your best. It's impossible. You can never do it. You can never do it. Somewhere or other, the 2 points will intersect to create the 5th point, and even when you have intersected, have created the 5th point, and you will find it is more than 4 triangles, because 2 triangles you will find can join together to form the 3rd triangle, the extra triangle. So there can never be exactly 4 triangles. So what's the answer? You think of 3 points in the paper, draw a triangle there, 1 triangle. Think of the 4th point in the space, and then you join all the 3 points with that point on the space. You will get a triangular pyramid with exactly 4 triangular faces. Exactly 4. So why we couldn't get the answer? Because we never took the space, the 3rd dimension, into our consideration. The same thing happens in the life. If constantly we are trying to find answer only in the physical plane of existence, you know it for certain, at last the big question, what after life? If that's the thing which always is disturbing us, a point in life will come where we will find there is no meaning. What all I gain with all this, the thing which I gain in life, at last everything has to go. What's this life meant for? A sense of meaninglessness, purposelessness is bound to come. However, I may try to pose that nothing affects me. I will know that my core has started rusting. I can make a great show of my happiness. And in present, we will find the world is just an advertisement. Everywhere it is advertisement. The real happiness can come only when we become aware of that spiritual dimension. And that can only give us, even in modern psychology, they say that whether God is or not, that is beyond the purview of our study. But what we can study? The mental state of the people, that we can study. And it has been found, whatever may be the reason, the spiritual persons, people, the truly spiritual people have been found to be more resilient. They don't get easily depressed. They don't totally collapse when the struggles of life is there. It doesn't mean that when we are spiritually oriented, we won't get disturbed. We will get disturbed. But it is like a balanced, a toy. The children will be playing, that in a rope, a toy is being placed with its CG almost in the bottom. So when you push it, it will move violently, but it won't fall. At last, it will come to its equilibrium. But if the CG was on the top, just a single knock, it will fall off. So if your center of gravity is God, is the divine, it's not that the life won't disturb you. Yes, the situations will disturb you, but you will get back your balance again. If just we try to build our life with total physical interactions with the world, know it for certain, it's very difficult to maintain that balance. And that's the idea which we were studying in the last class when we were studying the 8th and the 9th verse, that when you attain that state, what's the state of your mind? That very quickly, let us go through that. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijitendriya Yukta Ityuchyate Yogi Sama Loshta Ashma Kanchana. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. Jnana means knowledge. That by reading the scriptures, by listening to the spiritually illumined soul, that I am the Atman, I am not the body, not the mind, not the senses. I am the conscious, ever existing, non-dual conscious principle behind this body-mind complex. That's the real me. I may think I have understood, but this is just a conceptual knowledge. The scriptures say that is not sufficient. Meditation on this conviction at last leads to realization. A spiritual illumination comes. That in the process of our study of the 6th chapter we will find, we have already discussed so many times, that spiritual illumination, the realization that I am the self. All the scripture speaks of inspiration, the origin of all the religion. That's the prophet was inspired. He related to something which is beyond this physical world of existence. From there he is coming back, and then the religion emanates from there. So that is the Vijnana, the realization. It is not mere concept. Then only you become established in that knowledge. There is no more doubt. If a small child have not seen the ocean, he has read it in his textbook, that there is something called ocean. Someone may come and through reasoning may make him convinced of the idea that there is nothing called ocean. He may start doubting, because most probably what's written in the book is not correct, because it's a mere conceptual knowledge. But the moment, the day he goes with his parents to see the ocean, once he sees it, can anyone make him doubt the existence of the ocean? Never. So knowledge is realization. Once we realize, then only we have the knowledge. We again and again say that the example, that unless you have tasted butter, can anyone explain you the taste of butter, what it is? However it may try, impossible. You have to taste it. If anyone asks a mother that what's the mother's love is, please explain. What she can say? Oh, it is something which you have to experience. I cannot explain. If you are mother, then you will understand what that mother's love is. So this is something experienceable, but you cannot communicate it. Actually, any knowledge in this world, unless we have common fund of experience, it cannot be communicated. When we have common fund of experience, then only language is there too. What it first does, it encodes my feeling into the language, and the one who has the same fund of experience, when he hears it, he only can decode it, or she only can decode it. If you don't have common fund of experience, it is impossible to transfer any knowledge. So that's why the scripture again and again speaks of Vijnana. That's why when anyone is to go to Buddha and ask, many say that Buddha never believed in God, but you will never find. Buddha never spoke of the existence or the non-existence of God. He was silent. There's a very nice episode in his life that someone came and asked Buddha that whether God is, he was silent. He never replied. So this man thought most probably he doesn't believe in the existence of God. So immediately the next question, so God is not, isn't it? So as he never answered God is, he was silent. Whether God is not, again he was silent. The man was totally frustrated, couldn't get any answer. He left, disappointed. And then his disciple Ananda asked him, Sir, why don't you answer? Either say yes or say no. Then Buddha gave a very nice reply, that I never speak of the principle. I only show the way. What I teach is the way. It is not the idea of the ultimate reality. I just speak of the way. And he gave a very nice example. I am pointing the moon with my finger. People take the finger to be the moon. That's the thing Buddha told. I'm pointing, I'm using it as an index. So the scriptures, at the most, what they can do, their words are there as a pointer. Unless we go to that realization, it is impossible to really understand what the scripture is speaking. It gives just a conceptual knowledge that won't help us to really face the challenges of life. We will find that when I come out from a meditation, I was meditating on the idea that I am Atman, I am Brahman, I may feel quite confident. Oh, I have understood. And then with that idea, I go to face the challenges of life. I find I forget. And then at last, I become totally dissatisfied with the spiritual life. I said, this is all useless. This is of no use. And then we can stop our journey there. What has happened? We never understood the realization in its true sense. That this practice has to take us to the realization. Till then, we have to persevere. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, the entire spiritual journey can be explained with 3 P. Purity, patience, perseverance. You have to persevere. Continue in that journey with patience till you attain the goal. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. The entire 6th chapter is actually this message. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. So we have to persevere. So that's the idea we find as Vijnana. When you go to that realization, the one who has gone to that realization. So what are the traits? He becomes Kutastha. What is the Kuta? Kuta is the anvil of the blacksmith. He goes on hammering on it to give shape to the red-hot iron. The red-hot iron gets a shape, but the anvil remains unchanged. Nothing as if happens to it. That unceasingly the blows upon blows it is just absorbing all the shocks without getting in any way deformed. So here he's saying that he is the real resilience. The one who has gone to the realization, he is a spiritually resilient person. That we speak of resilience, and nothing in this life can in any way disturb him. He has become Kutastha. He has just become like the anvil of the blacksmith. Hammering goes on. That's most of us pray to God, oh God, just see that the problems of life falls off. But a real spiritual person never speaks of that. He is ready to face the challenges of life by transcending them, not by avoiding them. Even in Bible we will find just 48 hours before Jesus was crucified, Satan came to lure him. There's a chance you can escape. That's the difference. We could have be Satan. When someone says you can escape the problems of life, know it for certain, it is the call of the Satan. It is not God. Yes, the Satan came 48 hours before to just to say what's going to happen. He gave the indication what's going to happen. So it's the time you escape. So that's the thing. It's wonderfully written, but he knew that what is going to happen and what its implication is. What's the implication? In Upanishad it is very nicely mentioned. That yasya brahma cha kshatra cha ubhe bhavati odana. Then when you become spiritually convinced, and because of your conviction, the so-called the doctrines and dogmas of the religion, they are finding that he's speaking something beyond the doctrines and dogmas. And the entire world may be against you. They may say, you cannot speak such thing. When Jesus was saying, I am God, I am one with God, it was considered as blasphemy. How can you say you are one with God? But Jesus have realized that, and we all have that capacity to realize that. And now the entire world may be against you. In the case of the Sufism, the same thing. Al-Haq means the truth. And the Sufi saint started saying Anal-Haq. That means I am the truth. Immediately it was considered as blasphemy. That led to persecution. Even at the moment of death, nobody could stop them saying Anal Haq. And all these persecutions, you know what it does? It spreads the message. Seeing a person so convinced, you read the history of Sikh religion, any religion, how the message has been spread from persecution. When the world sees a person, even at the moment of death, is kutastha, nothing can deviate him. He is just convinced. Why is he so convinced? That this body is mere trash. The real me nothing can touch. Whatever you may do, the real me nothing can touch. That's the strength. It is a strength. Swamiji is saying, you think that strength is just facing the cannon? The real strength is the one who is spiritually illumined, and nothing can touch him. So that's the kutastha. He's sitting there, and for him he has become Vijitendriya. The world is a mere projection for him. It has lost its reality. As Swamiji, that example we give again and again, it's a wonderful example. That he was thirsty, he was passing through the desert, and he saw some reservoir quite at a distance. And to quench his thirst, he started moving towards the reservoir, and suddenly it vanished. And then Swamiji is saying, I realized, oh, it's a mirage. I have read it in my textbook. I thought I knew what mirage is. But that was just a conceptual knowledge. Today I realized. For the first time I realized what mirage is. And what's the difference? Next day again I was walking through the desert. Again I was thirsty. Again I saw the reservoir. But today there's a big difference. Yesterday it dragged me. Today it has lost the power to drag me. Because I know it's a mere projection. It's not a tangible reality. So it has lost the power to have hold on me. That speaks of Vijitendriya. It's not the way we try to get rid of the so-called attachments with our willpower. That this is the thing which is disturbing me, I have to get rid of it, I use my willpower. Here the Vijitendriya doesn't speak of that. A realized soul has the conviction that the entire world is just a mere superimposition on the reality. It has as such no tangible reality. It is not mere words. He have realized that, and it has lost its hold. He has become Vijitendriya. And then Yukta Ichyutyate Yogi Sama Loshta Asma Kanchana. A clay of earth, gold, or a piece of iron, whatever it may be. Everything becomes for him valueless. In one way, it has no value, and in another way, has the highest value. Everything has the same value. What? There are nothing but the mere they're the projection of the divine. So in both ways, if he is looking at it as a projection of the divine, they all are of same value, they all have the highest value. And if I consider them as a mere projection with no tangible reality, then they are all worthless. In both the way, they have nothing to do with my existence. So that way, they're same to me. So that was the thing which was spoken of. And in the next verse, which we told we will take up in today's class, the idea is same. What is that? Surin Mitra Udasina Madhyastha Dvesha Vandhusu Sadhushvapi Cha Papeshu Samabuddhir Vishishyate. Who is Samabuddhi? Who is established in the equipoise? Not only the inanimate things as a clod of earth or a piece of iron or some gold. For that he has the same-sightedness. But it is very difficult to have same-sightedness when it comes to our relations. You may develop same-sightedness for a clod of earth and for a piece of gold. But when the relations come, we do get affected. If someone is friendly towards me, I feel happy. If someone is inimical towards me, I am either afraid of him or I hate him. So these reactions are very difficult to get rid of. So you have to be really convinced in that you are the self. Then only, as we are giving that example, that even the one who is persecuting you, still you can bless them. You can bless them. That was the last words of the Jesus even, and we find in the Bible, oh God, please forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. So that speaks of a still higher. It's a vishishyate. There's a uniqueness that even at the moment of, there is a nice story which Swami Vivekananda used to relate, that a monk used to meditate sitting in the forest, constantly chanting Soham, so that I am that, I am that. And from one day from the other side of the river, the villagers could hear that the tiger has pounced upon that man, that saint, and was dragging him to the deep into the forest. And these villagers could hear the resounding sound of the Soham, Soham till his last breath. It never stopped. So that's the conviction with which they are established in that knowledge. So where relations, even the relations in no way can affect them. So that's the thing in the last class we were indicating, that to enjoy the bliss of a ritualistic worship, it's easy. I sit down with all the paraphernalia and I meditate that I'm offering some food to the divine, some flowers, some incense. The deity won't react. So it's very easy, it's not reacting. Whatever you do, it is accepting. Whether you do it with full devotion, God only knows. Whether he is accepting or whether you are not doing with devotion, God only knows. But you cannot do the same thing with the world, with your own children, with your mother, with your father. Each and every moment you will find that the way you are relating to them, immediate reaction comes. So there to practice samatha is not easy. So that's why here in our sutra, what they are saying, surin, that one who is a well-wisher, he is not your friend, but he is habitually well-wisher. He wishes well for all. So such a person is surit. Mitra, you have some emotional bondage with a person. Naturally, he will be thinking good of you. So surin, mitra. Or this is udasina. When you are having fight with someone and someone is standing and watching it and he is indifferent to both. He is not taking side. He is udasina. And then madhyastha. The third person, instead of being indifferent, tries to pacify both of them. So these are the various types of relations you can find. Madhyastha and dveshya. There are some person of such temperament that by seeing him you feel hatred. You feel that hate is coming out from. So dveshya, the one who has to be hated. Or bandhusu, or someone of a good, well-disposed person, seeing him, you feel friendly towards him. Sadhuswapi cha papesu, whether he is a good person or an evil-minded person. Samabuddhir vishishyate. When you can have samabuddhi to all of them, then you are yogi par excellence. The previous sloka was speaking of a yogi who is having this samadrishti, that's having this same attitude towards all the inanimate things. But here they're speaking of even when you are dealing with all various type of relations, you still can maintain your equanimity, calmness. Know it for certain, you are yogi per excellence. So after saying this, now the question is how to attain that state. Even in the last class when we ended the class, then says, well, it's very difficult. So as we all understand, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So now, after showing what's the ideal, the 6th chapter from the 10th to the 26th verse, we'll go on with the discussion that how we can really make it something as a part and parcel of our life. That's the difference between an academic knowledge and spirituality. Academic knowledge, even if a teacher, I still remember in my own college days, one of my physics professor was an excellent professor. Means he was really adored by all the students for this, for his competence in his subject, the way he used to deliver it. But he had the habit of drinking. And still we remember one day, for some reason, our classroom was shifted. The classroom in which we were supposed to have the class, we were having it in the next classroom. And our professor came. He entered as usual. He was not having the idea where the class is exactly. So he went there. The entire classroom was empty. From the next classroom, we could hear he has started the roll call. 1, 2, and we were surprised. The empty classroom is just, then we have to hold him and bring him to our class. And he took a wonderful class. It's a wonderful class. So for a physics professor, his personal life has nothing to do with his knowledge. But that's the difference between a spirituality and academic knowledge. Here, what you believe, that has to become a part and parcel of your life. That has to overhaul your personality. It has to transform you. Now, how the transformation can happen? Now, Gita, the scriptures are like mother. They will as if hold us with our hand and lead us step by step to that ultimate goal. So that's the thing. Now we are going to study from the 10th to the 26th verse. So let's now start with the 10th verse. What it is saying? Yogi yunjita satatam rahasi sthitah ekaki yata chittatma nirashira parigraha. So the yogi, the one who is a yogi, who is aspiring to, this word yogi is very pervasive word. From a novice to the one who is an adept. As previous in this chapter started with that. One is aruruksha. Aruruksha means one is trying to ascend to that highest level. Is aruruksha. And yoga rura is an adept. So they all are yogi. So the very first rung of the ladder to the ultimate, all are yogi. So that's why the yogi term is used even for a novice here. The yogi yunjita satatam. Is always, what he is doing? He is always constantly concentrating his mind. He should always constantly concentrate his mind and try to remain absorbed in his self. Atmani rahasi, atmanam rahasi sthita. And for that, what is required? First is solitude, ekaki. It is very much required. We should find some time in our life to be ekaki. Constantly we are always in relations we find we are always as if we need someone. So here they are saying first thing is required is ekaki, yata chittatma. And then this, you have to be, what you say, to a certain extent restrained, your mind. Yata, the word yati means restrain. That's why the sannyasis are called yati. Yati means who have developed the capacity to restrain their body, their mind, their senses. So here they are speaking of yata chittatma. Chitta speaks of the mind and the atma speaks of the body. You must say, how come atma means the self? But as in the last class we indicated, the literal word of the atma is something within. So we will find in Bhagavad Gita this word atma sometimes has been used in the sense of body and the senses. Sometimes it has been used in the sense of mind, and sometimes it has been used in the sense of our Paramatma, the innermost core of our being, the self. So something within. So compared to the external world, the body is something within, because with the help of the senses, we are constantly communicating with the external world. It is outside. Compared to that, the body is within. So sometimes Atma is used as body. Now compared to the body, the mind is again within. So in that sense, mind is also called the Atma. So it's a relative term. Here, Chitat is Yata Chittatma. This Chitta speaks of the mind and Atma speaks of the body. Yata speaks of control. So one who has developed the control over his mind and body. He is trying to develop the control over his mind and body. He tries to be in solitude. Nirashi. Nirashi speaks of, he is desireless. Asha. Asha speaks of desire. He is trying to get rid of all the desires. And that ultimately will lead to aparigraha. He is not always accepting things from others. He is quite happy with himself. So these are the qualities at the very beginning we have to start with. That to a certain extent, that when I know I am the self, it is my ignorance that made me think that I am this body-mind complex, and that made my habit of grabbing things habitual. So first thing I have to do, I have to disconnect myself and practice that detachment. So for that, solitude has been spoken of as the first quality. So this, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, nowadays it is so difficult to have solitude. It's very difficult. So Sri Ramakrishna is giving a very nice suggestion. ধ্যান করবে মনে কোণে ও বনে. Mone kone o bone. Bone means in forest, kone means in some corner, and mone means mind. So now, sometimes I may go out for a walking trail. That's why I was just in some other context one day I was saying, it is always a good idea to go for a walk alone. You will find at that to sit and meditate is so difficult, because for an adept, for a one who is a novice, whose mind is always running, just to sit and meditate is difficult. But you will find it's quite easy when I'm doing, my body is doing, having some activity, and to certain extent I'm trying to control my mind. So when you're walking, that time if you try to keep your mind focused on the thought of your God, or if you love nature, you're trying to focus on the nature, try to be one with the nature. That can speak of vana, that when you are secluding yourself for the time being from all, moving out and just trying to be focused in one thought, keeping your mind in present, forgetting the past and the future. Sometimes we move out, but our mind continues to go on with all the things which it had in the previous days. So till I remember when I was in Arunachal Pradesh, Narottam Nagar. It's a very secluded, it is deep in the forest the school was, with a 250 acres land, the school campus. It's a very serene place. One guest Swami came, and now as I was in the school, residential school, of course we had problems in dealing with the students. Constantly you are always with them. You have a lot of issues. So when a guest Swami came, the guest Swami just told that you are in the administration. Though you are in such a nice place, you don't get time to move, just move out to the woods and spend your time. Why not? Just let's go and spend some time in the forest near the stream. There's a stream was flowing down nearby. It was total calm. No, even a building was there. It's purely in the forest. So I, along with the Swami accompanied me. We went. He was a senior Swami. I sat by the side of the stream. And in 5 minutes, I started talking. What? Oh, such and such problem. This student, that student, they are always creating such problem. It's so difficult to deal with the teachers. And the Swami was quiet. And then suddenly he told, it is to forget about all these things we came here, isn't it? It's just to forget about all these things we came here. So sometimes that our mind continues. There's a nice Buddhist story, very nice. The two Buddhist monks were about to pass a stream. It was very, that the water was not very deep. You can easily cross. But one fashionable lady, she was passing. At the same time, she also wanted to pass, and she found that her clothes, her apron will get drenched. Now she wanted the help from this monk. Can you just help me? And one of the monks lifted her and crossed the stream, and then she went her own way. These two monks started walking. After about 1 kilometer, they walked after another 10-15 minutes, and then the second monk suddenly told, is it proper? No, what? Being a monk, we are not supposed to touch any woman. And you took her on your just on your lap, almost on your lap, and you crossed the stream. And this second Swami, this monk told, I have left her just by the side of the stream. You're still carrying her. So you're still carrying her. So now that you will understand what the ekaki means. Ekaki is to be in the present. The mind, it has to. So, and that mind, now you can use it for your contemplation. As Sri Ramakrishna always used to sing that song. যতনে হৃদয়ে রেখো আদরিণী শ্যামামাকে মন তুই দেখ আর আমি দেখি আর যেন মন কেউ না দেখে. These beautiful songs, that the one of whom you are contemplating, let no one know. Let it be in your heart. Don't make a show of religion. Swami Vivekananda used to say a wonderful thing, that in this life we will find that so much of energy we waste to show others that I'm a nice person. he is saying that if I would have to use that much of energy to really transform myself, I would have transformed. But I've all just wasted in showing others that I'm a nice person. So don't make a show. That let it be in the bottom of your heart. In the present world, it is so difficult sometimes to get that seclusion. But we can get. That instead of going to your workplace with your car, go in your public transport, you get a wonderful chance to sit in one of the seats in your train or the bus and contemplate. If you're driving, you cannot do that. Sometimes you find it very difficult. There are so many ways. Even you want to have a cup of coffee, you go to some cafeteria, you can sit in the corner. The other people are most probably having chit-chat, but you can still sit there. That's the the corner. And still you can enjoy the peace. And that's the thing which is required. That somehow we have to find solitude. The first thing that solitude gives us, if you're really in solitude, the thought of impermanence comes. It has to come. And sometimes we are afraid of that. We run away from solitude. Because when we are alone, sometimes I find it unsettles me. And I feel, to escape from that sense of, that impermanency and unsettled, I am so much embarrassed, I am so much overpowered by that queer feeling, I run away. And I try to be with the people. But Swami Vivekananda gives a very nice example. He says, when a hare is chased by the predator, say dog is, and at last the rabbit finds that it cannot really escape. The dog is going to come and just grab it. Somehow the rabbit will dig a hole in the ground and hide its face there. And it thinks it's safe. So for us, our socializing is sometimes just like that rabbit. With that, we have just hidden our face, but the death is there. It is there waiting for us. So sometimes in this, in the present society, in the civilization, in the present day, it's a taboo to speak of death. But however, we may just not talk about it. It's there. It's waiting. You may hide your face with all those engagements. It is there. So ekaki first gives that sense of impermanence. It has to come. It has to, if you are really spending some time. And then, of course, this thinking of impermanence is something like Swamiji is saying that we are in a joyous ride and suddenly I find I am at the brink of a precipice. One more step, I just fall. So this brings us to the brink of a precipice. So this life, I have taken it for granted as if it will go on forever. No. Ekaki gives that idea. And then from that, once that crisis comes, then only the chance of opening up of the portal, the spiritual dimension comes. Otherwise it never comes. You will find all these scriptures, whether it's Bhagavad Gita, whether it is Bhagavatam, even whether it is Yoga Vashishta, everything starts with a crisis. Everything starts with a crisis. Even the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Actually, the master, the one who wrote the Mahendranath, he was going through a terrible crisis that time. He was contemplating of suicide. That's when he met Ramakrishna. This crisis, that's why itself becomes a yoga. Bhagavad Gita's first chapter was Vishada Yoga. Vishada. When you are in the crisis, that crisis can take us spirally downwards if it doesn't give us a proper orientation. But if it gives us, if it somehow it opens up the spiritual dimension, that crisis becomes something as a springboard which helps us to just start our spiritual journey. And that's the thing which ekaki helps us. The more you are trying to be in solitude, the more you become aware of the impermanence of life, the more you then try to relate yourself with the spiritual dimension of our existence. So that's the first thing that has been spoken of as ekaki. Be in solitude whenever it's possible, to face yourself, to face the devil called your own mind, face all the feelings, your emotions, your mind you can face when you are alone. So ekaki. And then comes the question of yata chittatma. disciplined in mind and body. First comes the discipline of the mind, then of the body. Many says that nowadays in psychology they say that don't try to subjugate. Subjugation is not good for our health, mental health especially. They say all sorts of mental issues comes from this forcible subjugation. Yes, it's true. It's true when what happens, fearing of the society, that I have certain inclinations, but I know that the society is not going to ascribe to it. They will say, they will censor it. So out of the fear of the society, of the fear of my own people, I forcefully try to control myself. That is really harmful. But with a spiritual, when you have a spiritual orientation, that after all, my real dimension is the spiritual. Because of my wrong understanding, I have got somehow habitually attached to this worldly way of living. So with a spiritual ideal in the mind, that somehow I have to attune myself with that. With that, if I try to control my senses, it is not going to harm me. Just to give an example, when you are driving the car, if you press the brake when you are already your leg is on the accelerator, it is going to harm the car. So what's the rule? First you have to release the accelerator, then only you have to raise the brake. So releasing the accelerator is speaks of first controlling the mind. Chitta first comes. Even in the when we study the fourfold practices in Vedanta, first comes Shama, then Dhamma. Control of the mind comes first, and then the Dhamma. Then, because even if I control my mind, because of my old habitual way of living, the body has already developed some impulses. Just even if I have released the accelerator, the car is not going to stop immediately. Because of its past momentum, it is going to still drag on for some time. So now I have to apply the brake. So here also, even if I try to control my mind by keeping it spiritually oriented, still the body will drag on because of its past habitual impulses. So, but after using the mind to detach yourself from the body-mind complex, now you apply the brake. So then second it comes that then that Dhamma, then this Atma, that's why the Atma speaks of the body, Yata Chittatma. So you have controlled in your mind and as well as in body. So this controlling the mind should precede the controlling of the body and the senses. Nirashi. And this control naturally speaks of desirelessness. If you have desire, you can never speak of controlling. That Asha, this Asha word is very important. Asha doesn't speak exactly of desire. First we have some plans in our mind. I have to get this, I have to get that. Then the desire comes to just get hold of it. So this resolution itself we can spoken of that Asha, that as we have already studied, that we have to get rid of that resolution itself. So that we can nip at the bud itself, at the very beginning, at the very inception, we can nip it. So that Asha, that's the Nirashi, he has gone beyond all such expectations, has no such resolutions. And then he can become aparigraha. This word is also very important, aparigraha. Means he accepts nothing from anyone. Because others can give me some material things. They cannot give me they can never help me to get attuned to my spiritual dimension of existence. And as I am attuned to the spiritual dimension of existence, I aspire for that. The world has lost its hold on me. So why should I go and ask for such and such things? I still remember in our order, the 11th President, Swami Gambhiranandaji, in Belur Math. In those days, Belur Math, it was not an affluent math, that we used to get our bare necessities. But for everything we have to ask, as the monks doesn't have any personal money. So we have to go to the manager, Swami, and ask for things. Even small things. The toothpaste is over, we have to go and ask for that. So still we remember, so Gambhiranandaji used to say a very interesting thing. He became the 11th president. So, and he used to look very strict and staunch, but had a motherly heart. So always when we have to approach him, we always had that bit fearful. So someone went and asked that I need something. What? Some very simple, this toothpaste. So it was given, but with a remark. What the remark was? That you may have the idea that Belur Math is very poor, but know it for certain, in Belur Math, there is nothing you can get if you ask for. If you ask for, you can get anything. And that's a wonderful thing he told actually. That you ask for a toothpaste, toothbrush, you get it. You never ask for Ramakrishna, so you don't get it. If you ask for it, you will get anything. Everything you will get. So now here Apagriha speaks of that. See, he has lost the interest in small things. As Sri Ramakrishna is saying, his householder devotees used to say that you are throughout the day so much busy in earning. With all this earning, what you will get? At last you will get this bhat hoy, dal hoy, thakar ekta jayga hoy. Nothing more than that. You will get your food and you will get a shelter. And you go on earning. What will you get with that? Nothing more than that. You cannot get God. That was the idea. Paisa hai, thakar jayga hoy, bhat hoy, dal hoy, thakar jayga hoy. So this much you get. So when you know that your want is something beyond that, the question of asking for the small things, that falls off. And that's a non-acceptance. Aparigraha speaks of that. Automatically the spiritual aspirant who has started feeling that the need which I have is something nothing to do with this world. So automatically he becomes nirashi, he becomes aparigraha. So this is to start with. So this entire spiritual journey you will find even in Bhagavad Gita, they speak of two things, abhyasa and vairagya. So this all speaks of vairagya. First, you have to renounce certain thing, and then some practice comes. That practice now will start in the next verse. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya. Now you have to prepare the laboratory first. What's the laboratory here? Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiram asanam atmana. The laboratory for our spiritual journey is very simple. It's just the asana. But that also has to be prepared. That's this Bhagavad Gita, that was very methodical. It has not left any chance for our imagination. Even how the asana should be, that with that it is starting in this 11th verse. What it is saying? Natyutsritang nati nicham. Na utsritang. This is not too high, not too low. And that asana, how it should be? Chaila ajina kushottaram. Chaila ajina kushottaram. What it speaks of? That it has to be 3 layers. The first is the kusha. Kusha is a type of grass. First you have to spread that asana of kusha grass, and then the deer skin over that. And last, a piece of cloth. So why this type of instruction? So when you are sitting on the ground, now you will find it is impossible. It's in such cold. So it has to be something the heat, this heat insulator. So the kusha helps in insulating the heat. And the deer skin, it gives the softness. It's like a shock absorber. But at the same time, because of the hairs of the deer skin, it may be pricking you. So over that you put a soft cloth. So now the asana becomes something very comfortable. So now you have to keep in mind, these are all spoken of an age thousands of years back, where you didn't have this type of chairs and carpets and other things. So the things which are available, that's all spoken of. So you have to make the asana very comfortable but firm. It shouldn't be so much cushion that your back goes down and naturally your back will be stressed. You can never sit in your bed, you will find. It's very difficult. So it has to be firm, but at the same time it has to be very comfortable. So that's why they are specifically mentioning that how to prepare asana. So that's how the laboratory is prepared. Where it is should be located, it shouldn't be too high, because if you doze off or you go to samadhi, you can understand what is going to happen. So there is no seat belt for you. So that's why it shouldn't be too high. It shouldn't be too low. Because if it is too high, you may fall. If it is too low, something may fall on you. So something may fall on you, or even present day you will find that many have even in our Fiji center, the ground floor was the shrine. Why? Upstairs the sadhus used to stay. Why? That there's so many elderly people come, for them to climb the stairs is difficult. The ground floor was but the center was just by the side of the river. That river was quite down, some about 20-30 feet, quite below. But when suddenly that flash flood comes, rain, in no time, it's something to see. It will the water level will raise, and the first floor will be totally underwater. So the shrine is totally underwater. So now you have the habit of everyday meditating in the shrine. So now what happens? It gets interrupted, your practice gets interrupted. So it shouldn't be too low, so that it is not flooded, not too high. Too high can distract you. Because even if you go to the Dandenong ranges, it is too high. We may think it's a nice place to meditate, but they have created not a place for meditation. They have created this sky high, that rise place for viewing. You have a nice view of the entire city, so that also is a distraction. You have a wider range of your vision. That can be a distraction. So it shouldn't be too high, it shouldn't be too low. The one who meditates in the Himalayas, generally you will find they will selecting a spot where they can see only the peaks, or they are inside the cave. So the spot is very important, though it is high, but their view is obstructed either by the ranges. That gives a very transcendental feeling, or they're sitting in the caves totally shut off from all the vision. So if it is too high, it can be distraction, you can fall off. If it is too low, some things may fall on you, or you may get flooded. So it should be in such a place that for a year together you are just meditating, nothing disturbs your place of meditation. And it should be sthiram. Why the sthira is very important, that asana, that on which you are sitting, that you should also be motionless. That's the very first quality for meditation. While meditating, you will find the first thing that happens, you are not aware at present of so many uneasiness. You will feel you are quite okay. The moment you sit for meditation, you will find that somewhere it is itching, somewhere it is the strain you feel, and immediately to get rid of that strain, you start moving. So they say that's how the body is constantly tricking us. Try to just simply don't just neglect them for some time and try to be calm. You will find if you keep your body motionless, in no time the mind is becoming very steady. These two are very much related. You will find a person who is mentally agitated, he cannot sit quietly. He will be constantly moving around. And when your mind is settled, you will find that your body is also calmed down. These two are geared up. As these two are geared up, when my mind gets disturbed, my body gets disturbed, that I find. So, but as these two are geared up, if I control my body, the mind automatically to a certain extent will get calm. So the body and mind, as we give that example, is just like a water in a cup. If you move the cup, the water will move. If you just keep the cup steady, the water, even if the water was moving previously, it will gradually what will happen, it will become still. So the body and the mind is same way related. So that's why first the asana is very much important. Keep the body calm. For that you need a very firm but at the same time comfortable asana, so that you can sit for long and the body should be steady. So after that, it is saying that it should be in the shuchau deshe. It should be in a clean place. The cleanliness is also very important. It should be in a clean place. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiram asanam atmana. This next is samang. Now it speaks of your own posture. Sama kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam sthira. That even today's guided meditation we started with that. That your body, your neck and your head should be in a straight line. That speaks of your spine also as straight. To keep the spine straight is very important in meditation, because all the nerve currents pass through the spine. If your spine is not is bent, is not straight, all the nerve currents gets interrupted, and that way your focus of the mind can never be qualitative. So that's why this asana is very important. Sthiram Sukham Asanam. The Sama Kaya Shira Grivam, the body, the neck and the head, that should be in the same line. Dharayan Achala Sthira. It should be firm and steady, not moving. Sampreksha Nasikagrang Swam Dishas Chan Avalokayan. Not only the body, even your eyes should not be moving. It's spoken of here as being fixed at the tip of your nose. The actual intention is your eyeballs shouldn't move. Even you will find a doctor, if you go to a doctor, they will say that when you are sleeping, at that time, have to find out whether you are in deep sleep or you are dreaming. When you are dreaming, our eyeballs move. That speaks of the agitation of the mind. So these are all related. So that's how the science of meditation has developed. That if the agitated mind speaks of the movement of the eyeballs, and as they are geared, if I keep my eyeballs fixed, the mind to a certain extent will calm down. So calm down your body, calm down this eye movement of the eyeball, keep it fixed in one direction. Here they say the tip of your nose, but actually it speaks, as Shankaracharya says, the concentration should be on your ideal, on the idea that you are the Atman, you are the Brahman. On that you keep your mind. That is fixing your eyeball fixed. That's the idea which has been spoken of. So these two are the preparations which speaks of asana. You'll find that already we have started studying the eightfold limbs of yoga. From the 10th to the 26th, actually, we will speak of the eightfold limbs of yoga. So where we find that asana comes almost at the beginning, that yama, niyama, then comes asana, pranayama. So here, these two slokas speaks of the asana. Steady your body, and then the succeeding stages will come as we proceed together. Today it's almost the time. So we will just stop here in the 13th verse. From the next verse, we will find it will speak of the dharana, dhyana, all those ideas, that how to fix your mind so that it can take you to a state of flow, which can take you to a state of samadhi. That will be spoken of in the succeeding verses, which we will take up gradually again in the next class. So with this, we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskars.